I'm going to take my drill and attempt to drill these knuckles out for a 3/4 inch bolt. I'll tell you the truth, this job's a little bit scary. Got this oh shit handle here on the drill, but it don't work too good. I'll just hold it up on top. Try not to kill myself. Side, new tie rod's ready to go on, and I can go ahead and do some math and figure out where that steering cylinder's got to get welded up. It's just double check and make sure the thing turns without my new fat arm hitting the diff cover. It clears that way, and it clears that way, so we're good. Do we want a spacer in between the knuckle and the heim? Well, there's no real reason that the tie rod should ever do that. If it does that, you're in trouble. So there's no real reason it should ever bind, other than it looks like the knuckles a little closer on the outside than the inside. We'll double check and make sure that one's the same way. Of course, the bolts aren't all the way tight either. It doesn't seem like anything that's going to be a problem. I don't think we need a spacer. Then there'll be a spacer in between. Then it'll be the tie rod that goes to the steering cylinder arm. Then we'll need to come off of the knuckle up high with a plate, weld right to the knuckle with a 70/18 rod. We should be okay. But worst case, so we're gonna add to the knuckle basically, right? I'm gonna add arms off the knuckle, which are important, they're part of my steering system. But worst case, if I did break my weld to a cast knuckle, you've still got a straight hole through the cast knuckle that's supposed to be there that will probably hold up in case of a failure of your double shear. In other words, it's a little bit safe proof or idiot proof. One or the other, doesn't really matter. More importantly, let's figure out where this steering cylinder needs to go and make a mount for it. Now I use my square, put it flat on the axle housing on my center mark, and check that tie rod and make sure it's centered. You know what? I put that mark on there by eye last night. Let me double check that sucker's centered. If I go between grease fittings, what's my measurement? 50 and 3/4. Now half of 50 and 3/4 is 25 and 3/8, and my center line's off. My center line's off, you fucking asshole. God damn it. 50 and, let's double check. 50 and 3/4. Half of 50 and 3/4 is 25 and 3/8, correct? Yeah, that's correct. I think. Fuck, why not? Alright, let's hold that there. And I done fucked myself up with this center line. Where's my chalk? Get all messed up here. What's your problem? ¿Qué tienes problema? What do you want? We don't know. For whatever reason, it records 2 minutes at a fucking time and then it turns off. So now, with my new improved center line, turns out I was 3/8 of an inch off of center. There. Now, we are centered. Now my tie rod is centered up. Now, we can hold this cylinder out here. Now, it's an 8-inch cylinder, right? What we got here is an 8-inch cylinder, which means it pushes 8 inches that way or 8 inches that way. Is that what that means? Well, yeah, that's what that means, but if you center it, then it's only 4 inches. So does it move 8 inches to each side, or does it move 4 inches? Is it 8 inches? Right. If you started in the center and you had 8 inches of movement, you could move 4 inches one way and 4 inches the other way. You couldn't move 8 inches that way. Sure, your shaft's pushing out 8 inches, but you only started at 4. 4's in the middle. It's half of 8. So it pushes 4 inches either way. Now, what I'm trying to say is if I had an 8-inch cylinder and I wanted it to steer more than 8 inches, I would put it closer to the axle housing than the tie rod is and make different mounting points than the tie rod on my knuckles closer to the housing. Then you could get more steering out of your 8-inch cylinder. And the closer you get to the tie rod, it'll be the same. You put it over top of the tie rod, you're pushing 4 inches, it's moving 4 inches. You put it closer to the axle housing, you're pushing 4 inches, it's moving 50 inches. Blows your knuckle right off into the next room. All right, here we go. I want it over top of the I want it over top of the tie rod, right? But it can't sit on the tie rod, not like this, so it's gonna have to be at least an inch above the tie rod. That looks great right there. So if I just set it on the tie rod directly over top, let me get my head up in here. I gotta cut this cross member out. That thing has to go. It's been in my way, and now it's really gonna be in my way. Now, I should have marked center. I should have marked the center of my cylinder here, but I didn't. But that's okay. I've got it roundabout center, and I've got a pretty good idea what I'm gonna do. It's gotta be an inch higher than what it is. Goddamn tape measure. I don't know who they made this tape measure for, but I can't ever get my hand in there when I got one hand going on. Alright, bring it in a little, 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 bring it in a little. Alright, stop it right there. Now let's get a measurement and see how far we are away from the top there. Now my axle housings kind of goes in a little bit. 4 1/4 over there. What are we looking like over here? Yeah, the same. Okay, very good. I got straight eyes. So it's going to be 4 inches off the axle housing. I'm going to have to build something that this goes onto and then somehow connect it, box it all together, and make it very strong. Should be very fun and interesting, and have a good time doing it. Alright. What else do I need to know while I'm here? What I'd like to know, so I'm already taking the wrong measurement. What I need to do is go like this. I'm spending too much time talking to you and not enough time doing the things that I need to figure out. I need to do a little figuring here. Now we're at 3 5/8. Now that is the number for the bottom. 3 5/8. So that there's exactly what I'm gonna do. I know you don't have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just saying things, but I know what I'm doing. 3 5/8, and the bitch ain't gonna work over here. You got your diff in the way, which is a problem. I don't know where people normally put this goddamn thing, but she got to go out in front of the diff. Imagine if you mounted it out of center. That wouldn't work very good, would it? And then you also got to remember that as the knuckles turn, the tie rod gets further away, so you push him back towards the axle housing, and I wonder how far back towards the axle housing you're pushing. Lots of things to think about. I got my number there, and I would say 5. Wait, you never any goddamn round numbers. 6. Half 6 is 3. I'm gonna put 3 right there. I mean, you're center. centered, so really that one, well, this one here will catch. Then when you get to there, it's a problem. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna build some stuff and make it real strong and make it look cool, so it's gonna be great. 3 5/8, and just do the whole length of this, but your 3 5/8 can only be for those 3. Correct? Yeah, correctamundo, Vincent. I'm a race car, and I'm in the red, and I'm gonna blow. All right. So what I'm gonna do, if that made any sense to you, which I'm sure it didn't, I'll go ahead and summarize now. I'm gonna make a plate that covers the back of these, gets welded to all 4 of these bolt downs for my clamps. Then I'm gonna make another plate that connects only these 3 to the axle housing straight over, like an L. Then I'll be able to be hands-free. It'll be where I want it once I tack it to the axle housing, and I'll be able to move the knuckles and see how far the tie rod pushes back, and maybe I'll want to shorten my plate a little bit. I don't think so, but maybe. And then I can build the rest of the mount, and everything will go as planned. It shouldn't be too complicated. I'm probably making it a little more complicated than it should be, but you try and think about all this stuff and see how it works out. All right. All that being said, it's now time to go make some sparks. No, it wasn't loud. Okay, I'm gonna make a little bit more, okay? All right, you're fine right there. You see it? Yeah. Yeah, a lot of sparks. And now one more time. Okay, now they're stuck together. All right, you're okay now. They went home and you stayed out here?
Yeah.
Nice. You wanted to come see me?
Yeah. Dad, you have to go in your hose water. That's recording.
I wouldn't take the girl swimming, so she jumped in a bucket. On the first day of spring? You bumped your ear?
Yeah.
Oh no. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so. Oh wow.
Daddy, can you blow it for me?
I don't think I can fix that balloon. I'm sorry.
Daddy, can you blow it for me?
I can try.
Okay. Oh. Daddy,
Hey,
can we go swimming now?
you already are swimming, sweetheart.
I want to go in the lake instead because this isn't big enough. Daddy, go here.
You try.
I was springing this water.
It's already popped, sweetheart. We can't blow it back up.
What are you doing? No, don't.
Digger, don't do it. Let her do it to herself. Don't do it to her. You can get your own bucket. You gonna go swimming in the bucket too, Merce? It's in the title of my YouTube channel. They know.
Followers to the Durrt Church Facebook every day, and I don't know how.
Because people love the Durrt Church, and I promote it every day on my YouTube
You
channel.
don't post on that Facebook.
Anyway, welcome to the Durrt Church. Today at Durrt Camp, it's the first day of spring. It's a whopping 63 degrees out, and the kids want to go swimming. All right, Lemmy's gonna jump it. Brum, brum. Ah!
Don't do it.
I won't do it. My little Lemmy wouldn't.
Cold?
He wouldn't like it very much.